there's only one side that can have more knee injuries than home wins. That's Hull City's. Led fans to asking, are Hull City cursed? That's what we'll be asking Matty and Ben, just why are we having so many of the same injuries? Is it the pitch, the training ground, or is it just a bad look? We're also talking about Bristol City as our next game, and the February Unsung Player of the Month needs awarding, and we're talking about the playoff final, given we relegated some sides last week. We're putting 2 in the playoff final. Welcome back, Matty and Ben. Thank you very much for watching. We're recording this before the Plymouth game, so we can't talk about what's going to happen there, but fingers crossed, by the time you watch this, it's 3 points against the Pilgrims. Matty, what happened at Cardiff before we go any further?
Just like we always say, just typical City. It's just so inconsistent. You go from the great game from Sunderland and then just go to, just absolute inept, really. We didn't create anything. And I'm not, Cardiff weren't overly great, but it was just another follow-up of inconsistency. I think came out after that Alzate was injured, but still we needed him in the team, and Matazzo going off as well. It's just an absolute nightmare at the minute. And that's why we're at the bottom, innit? Inconsistency. We're just so inconsistent. It's unbelievable. We don't create much and we can't defend. So it's not a good combination at the moment.
And I feel like, Ben, we might be slightly responsible this channel here, because every player we seem to put out on a title and on our videos, then on the next game seems to get injured. So who would you like as a picture on this one?
Nobody. Nobody. Scrap the video.
Put the Bristol City players
please,
on there.
Yeah, please. Good idea.
Joking aside, DC says ACL injuries this season, 3 home wins this season, 2. It's the Hull City Association Football Club. Okay, what genuinely do you think is the reason for this? Some people are saying it's our medical facilities. Some people are saying it's a pitch. What is it?
I don't know, to be completely honest. It's just bizarre that 3 of our main players this season have all had ACLs. Obviously, Louis Barry as well had a knee cartilage against Sunderland. It's just, I think it is just bad luck. It's not like the way they've happened. They're not like following a pattern of sorts. 3 of the 4 have been away from home, so you can't really blame it on the pitch, which has been quite bad this season. But I think it is just really, really bad luck. And unfortunately, it's happened to us, and the players that have had them have been arguably the most influential this season, to be honest.
Yeah, we talked about Ali Matazzo last week, didn't we, about how amazing he was. And then, was it 20 minutes in, Matty, to Cardiff? He goes off. You must be staring up the heavens going, just what is going on?
Yeah, but I don't think it's just this season. You only have to look back to last season, and then but it seems to happen to our key players. So we had the lap out, didn't we, for ages last season, and then we had Philly Jean, which probably arguably cost us the playoffs with it. So, and I know kind of early in the season it was blamed on Walter for overtraining, particularly with Miller and Bellumi, but I just think it's bad luck, and I just think I think, as you mentioned at the top of the show, we are completely cursed with that and our home form. It's just unbelievable that we're going through this period of such bad luck, and we just can't seem to catch a break at the minute with anything, and it's that's impacting on our form as well, isn't it? Because now we've got players out, and we're having to bring in other players that that don't make the squad, so it's it's impacting on our performance. So yeah, it's very, very frustrating.
Yeah. Ash says, Ben, this needs to be investigated. Clubs are unlucky to have 1 knee injury, but 4 in just over half a season of games is shocking. Hopefully Ashton doesn't sack Stellers if we go down. Literally an awful German manager, 3 ACL injuries and deadwood players. Is he spot on there, Ben?
I think it's just a disaster of a season. I think I've seen a lot of people say they just like get it over and done with now, and we'll see you next season for pre-season. But it's just that obviously the start was less than what we needed by a long shot. I think the decision to bring in Tim Walter was the complete wrong one. In hindsight, obviously, looking back, it would have been nice to either maybe keep Rossignol. Don't want to speak about him too much because so much gets dragged on about that on Twitter. But yeah, we've got to move on from it. We've got the squad to do well, but we're just, I think, like Matty said a few minutes ago, it's the inconsistency, the injuries. It unsettles the team. We've not really had a settled starting 11. Realistically, it's just hard for the team to get into a groove and start playing at a consistent level when it's just constant chopping and changing. So it's just, yeah, it's been a very, very hard watch of a season this season.
Okay. Cheers for that, both of you. As Josh says, something has to be happening behind the scenes. No way 3 of our better players are out with the same injury. And here's one which you would probably have seen yourself. I'm not sure whether you can draw any correlation to it or not. It says Hull City have been in the Premier League 5 times in recent history, with all revenue streams taken into account. This is estimated the club received £400 million. This is what we have to show for it. Something needs to change immediately, in reference, of course, to the training ground. Now, I don't know if that's just a bad picture or whether, but people are putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 20, Matty, with the state of the training facilities and all the injuries. Is there some positive correlation here, or people clutching?
Yeah, I think we're just generally clutching at straws, aren't we? Don't make the grass is still grass and ground is still ground, isn't it? It's or is it because they're too cramped in the changing rooms and they're knee to knee, so like they can't get changed. I think we're just clutching at straws, aren't we? Really, with that, we've just got to put it down to bad luck and move on. Yeah, the training facilities probably do need to improve for a club at a club in the Championship. We probably do need better facilities, but which is another completely off topic. We were going to get one down at the MKM, and that's not gone through. So I think we're just clutching at straws. It's bad luck, isn't it? There's nothing else you can do about it. It is just completely bad luck, and we've just been hit by injuries at the same time to key players. Just move on. We win a relegation battle. We just need to pull together the best that we can.
Okay. Let's focus on what's to come then. Bristol City this weekend. Now, this is, of course, the reverse of the first day of the season. I mean, Ben, how long ago does it feel like since you were watching, full of optimism, a brand new manager? This was the team that you put out on that particular day, which, is a very different looking side, isn't it? I think to what, does it feel a lifetime ago, that fixture?
Yeah, it does. It was a long, long time ago. I'm trying to block that segment of the season out of my mind under that manager, but yeah, it feels like a long, long time ago, that game.
Matty, when you look back at that fixture, and it was a 1-1 draw, wasn't it? I think Bristol City equalised, if I remember rightly, towards late on. What markers did you see in that game that have led us now to this point? Did you see then that it was going to be an issue this season, or were you pleasantly pleased in that game?
I think it was a game that we were lucky probably to get a point from in the end, and I think, and even on this podcast, we those early days we still didn't really know what was going on. I mean, we had Coyle running across the whole of the back four. We had McLaughlin on the left wing at some point, centre forward. So, God, I don't know. We gave away a lot of chances that game as well, if I remember rightly. So I think we were all a bit confused about everybody else thinking, well, this is either brilliant, this is either madness, or it's completely brilliant. But yeah, it didn't work out, did it? So, and it was completely madness in the end from that point onwards. So, yeah.
Which players gets your nod then this Saturday, Ben? Obviously, we can't take the Plymouth results into consideration in this discussion, but starters for you?
I mean, I think I'd go with a fairly similar-ish lineup. Obviously, I know we've got to replace Matazo, unfortunately. No Louis Barry either. But I think when Kamara came on against Cardiff, he did actually look promising, which is not very common in terms of Abu Kamara, but potentially give him a run out. But I feel like the formation, you can see it's got some substance. There's potential for it to work. I'm not too sure on the role of Matt Crooks. I know he scored a couple of goals, but when he's playing up top, he's not really moving too much. But maybe a Kyle Joseph and João Pedro double partnership up top would work well with the amount of running that they both put in. But I think other than that, fairly similar to what we saw against Cardiff.
Yeah. We are getting to the business end now, Matty. We've got an international break coming up. But are you at that point now where you are constantly looking out for like Luton Portsmouth result the other day and hoping that Portsmouth equalise? Are we there now? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think there's much difference between anybody in that bottom, particularly the bottom five. I think we're all just as bad as each other. I think we go on a little bit of run, and I think that result probably brings Portsmouth back into it. I know are they 6 points ahead of us, I think, but still, it brings them back into it. So they're just as bad. That bottom those bottom 6 or 7 teams, yeah, they're just killing themselves out. I mean, Derby have they not won for 8-9 games now? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then Luton, I mean, I watched Luton the other week. I can't remember, they were on telly when they drew or lost, and they were awful. Against Plymouth, weren't they? They were awful. Both teams are awful, but we're just as bad. You go from one extreme to the other. So, but what the only kind of shining light I would take out of that is that when we get it right, we look like a decent team. So it's just getting it right. My concern is that when we go behind at the moment, we just don't look like getting back into the game at all. Which is so that first goal in any game that we're going to get is going to be the most important. If we can get in front, I fancy us, to be honest. So, yeah.
When we asked last week, obviously, who you would like to get relegated, we asked the same question to every one of the other 23 clubs. Would it surprise you that Hull's name quite came up in over half of those discussions as fans wanting to see go down? And the main reason they gave was because of the amount of money you tried to spend last season in trying to buy the playoffs, and the amount of money that people seem to think that you have lots of money, spend it badly, and then don't go on and do well. So people will like to see you go down. Does that surprise you, Ben? That there's such a negativity towards Hull?
It's just jealousy, isn't it? We had the ability to bring in some top quality players. Why wouldn't you? Especially in the position we were in last season. It's like adding a bit of extra fuel to the fire. That's what gave us a bit of a push towards the end of the season. It didn't work out. We might have regretted a couple of the decisions we made last season, but I think it's just, you can say that about a lot of teams, the amount of money they spend. A lot of the teams at the top, Leeds, Sheffield United, Burnley, have so much money, parachute payments, etc. But yeah, I think everyone says the same, but I don't think it's okay. We're not like Man City. We're not spending like 100 million each window, are we? We got a few loans and it didn't work out. That's all that happened.
The thing is, we sold Philogene as well, didn't we, last season? So do you know what this season? So that money's gone back into the club, and I don't think we've spent an awful amount of money this year in comparison to some of those teams at the top of the league. Yeah, I think we're we're not in a false position, but we're in a position that we shouldn't be in. But I think, like Ben says, it's if they were in the same position, look at Luton. I mean, come on, they came down from the Premier League, and they should be surely doing better than what they have. They haven't changed their team massively, have they? So anyway, jealousy in it. They'll all be laughing when we maul them next season.
Brilliant. Right, let's finish off this week then with your February player of the month, or the unsung player of the month, if you don't mind, Matty.
I think it'll probably be between Gelhardt and Alzate. I think it'll probably be between them two. Probably going for Gelhardt. I'm similar to Ben. I struggle where Crooks fits into the team, but he has got us a couple of important goals with that, so maybe he'll be on that list. But for me, it's got to be either Alzate or Gelhardt. They've been the two most consistent players in there. Matazzo, obviously was great against Sunderland, but then he had one half against Stoke, but didn't really show much apart from that. So probably between them two for me, I think they've probably been the best we've had in the last month or so.
Okay.
So yeah,
thanks, Ben.
I think you're actually spot on with the nominations. I'm pretty sure as of recording it got released today, the nominations, and I think I'd go with Gelhardt. I think the others were Matazzo, Alzate, and Crooks. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but yeah, I think Gelhardt would be the one for me. He just runs endlessly. He's come in with a lot to prove, and I think he's proven himself that he's a top level player. Unfortunately, playing in a team that's towards the bottom, but if we can get hold of him permanently next season, I'd be very, very happy with that. And I think he's been one of the more consistent ones during February, that is for sure.
Good shouts. Lovely. Right, one last question to you both. And last week you relegated some sides you didn't like. This week we're asking you to promote some sides that you do like, where the Championship final has been announced for Saturday, May the 24th. So once Hull have now... Oh, that's the wrong pitch button. There we go. So manifest this. So Hull are now safe. You've survived. You're in your beer garden in Hull somewhere. It's a Saturday, Sunday, sunny day. You've got beer in your hand, celebrating survival. Which two teams would you like to be sat back, Matty, watching battle it out at Wembley? I'm sorry, Hull aren't going to be involved in it. I think that's fair to say.
You never know, Mark. You still got a chance. Well, out of the top three, we're going to, unfortunately, I think one of those will be in it. I'd rather Leeds go up, and then it gives us a chance, I suppose, for us to get Gelhardt. It'll probably be Burnley. I'm not a massive fan of that, Burnley. And then, do you know what? Any of those teams, they haven't really set the world on fire, have they, this year? But I suppose, for me, maybe Burnley, Bristol City. I think Bristol have been knocking on. Oh, they've normally been mid-table, haven't they? But for them to kind of secure that place, and then, and I know we beat them in the playoffs back in 2007, 2008 season. So, they were good that day. So, Bristol, Burnley. That would be a decent final. Bristol to go up like that.
Yeah. Okay, Ben?
I think a good shout would be either of the two derbies in there. There's Blackburn and Burnley, and then outsiders of Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United. That would be interesting in a playoff final, add that little bit of extra fight to it. But to be honest, I think Coventry have done quite well the last few seasons. Obviously, they were unlucky to lose out to Luton on pens. They've done really well since Lampard's come in, which could be a good success story after a not so great one in the Premier League with Chelsea and Everton. So yeah, I think if it was a derby, I'd be all for it. It adds a bit of extra spice to the game, doesn't it? And as a neutral, it's always good to watch a derby on telly.
Okay. Well said. Right. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Below. Right. Good luck then against. Good luck against Plymouth. Obviously, something's got to give in that game, as I said last week.
Draw.
How can? No, it can't be a draw. It can't be. No, they don't. They don't win away. You've got to beat them. Thank goodness. And good luck against Bristol City. We're back here in 7 days' time to review both of those games and hopefully chat about 6 points for Hull and now near safety. Fingers crossed. See you next week.